How can you increase profits when you don't have enough time as it is? Inside this episode, we're talking about 3 things to simplify and what to prioritize in order to increase your cash flow. So let's do this. Today's the day. The sun is shining. The tank is clean for those of you who watch Disney and know Finding Dory, but today is the day. Registration is officially open for Cashflow Unlocked, the free workshop that I am hosting in just 2 weeks. We'll talk more about that in a little bit, but I am seriously so excited. Have you ever had one of those things that we can call it a passion project, like something that's been put on your heart and you know that you're supposed to do it? This is one of those things. It's been going on probably in the works for almost 2 years. And I'm going to talk some on the workshop about like why this has taken so long to happen. But some of the things we're going to talk about, imposter syndrome and just feeling like I have to get it right, because the 5 essential keys that we're going to be talking about are the keys that shifted everything for me within my business. And I wanted to make sure I was conveying that in a way that made sense, was like logical. Like I wanted you to get it just like that. I got it. I want you to have that success. So I let the perfectionist in me hold me back, probably for way too long. So I apologize for that, but it is here now. We'll talk a little bit more of that in a little bit, but I was just, so excited to tell you that it's officially available for registration. Today, we're going to be talking about what we need to simplify in order to multiply that cash flow, increase that profit. All right. So the first thing is to simplify your business offerings. This is not necessarily meaning that you have to have just one offer, which I'm kind of laughing at myself as I do this because I'm literally going to end up creating a new offer. It's like a mini offer. Hold on. Get to that in a second, okay? It's not necessarily that you have to have one offer, but we need to simplify our messaging so that it all makes sense and have an offer ascension, okay? So it doesn't need to feel like we're over here and then over there and over here and over there. There needs to be like a framework, a place to guide you through, okay? So for example, for myself, you either start really at the bottom. We had the 14-day action plan. We had the budgeting for success worksheets. As you work through those, then you ascend through the ladder. Then you might need budgeting simplified. You might need prosperity simplified, which is the new one that we have coming. But it's all leading along the way. We also have some mini courses, meal planning made easy, the time management and productivity like a boss. Those things help add in. It's all flowing together. And then we have the Academy, which is the main place to get to. Okay. Money Mastery Academy. That's the place to be. I have called it Money Masters Inner Circle Academy in the past, but we've officially had it be the Academy for a year now. And I am good with simplifying the name, streamlining the message in Money Mastery Academy. It is. So the Academy is the place to get to. Within the Academy, I do have higher touch, done for you, higher support level offers, but you have to go, the place to get to is the Academy. And then once you're in the Academy, that's where you need to be. You're going to have the full breadth of all of the training, the step-by-step walkthroughs. It's all included in the Academy. And then if you want additional support, then we have that option as well. Does that help? Let me know if that makes sense. Send me a message on Instagram, shoot me a text, something. That offer ascension, because it has to make sense. And this is where your messaging and simplifying your messaging is really important, and having that streamlined, because your audience has to feel like they know what you're talking about, okay? There are some people that I see, and it's not just making a pivot in your business once or maybe twice. It's every 3 or 4 months, they're doing something completely different. And then they want to brand themselves an expert. How can you be an expert in this if you were just doing something totally different 4 months ago? That doesn't build trust for me. And your audience is thinking the same thing. We have to have that simplified. It has to make sense. And we talked about that was last week. We have to consistently make the offers. But if we simplify the offerings, we're not having to reinvent the wheel all the time. Again, like just simplify it. Then we can simplify our business marketing. It's the second thing that we need to do. We are looking at KPIs, and I have a whole section ready for you inside the Cashflow Unlocked workshop. And if you do the VIP experience, like you have a step-by-step workbook for that on KPIs to look for. KPIs are key performance indicators. I had to remember what that was called, but basically we're looking at the things that are actually moving the needle. Okay. We don't necessarily have to do some of the fluff if it's not working. Now, like SEO strategies, I do feel are important, but those are you're building in and doing the long-term game. That's not necessarily your only thing, which is the second part of your business marketing. You should have a business marketing ecosystem. Okay. The ecosystem, when you have that simplified messaging that we talked about and the offer ascension, it makes everything streamlined, because if it's almost like everywhere you go, there you are. You're talking about similar things. It's the same messaging. It's the same offers. If you're going to be on multiple platforms, okay. But like the podcast here is part of my marketing ecosystem. My social media, Instagram, Facebook, those are LinkedIn. Those are my main ones. I'm on TikTok and YouTube as well. I use them more as social search strategies, but we'll get to that on the workshop. But it all feeds into the same thing. So we have the podcast, we have the email list, we have the text marketing list. It's saying slightly different in a slightly different manner, depending on what platform you're on, so that it's speaking to the platform you're on. We're not just like spraying the same exact thing everywhere. You're speaking to them in a way that makes sense for the platform that they're on, but it's the same message. Because again, we have to hear this multiple times. It used to be that a person would need 7 touches to be ready to buy. I've heard now it's up closer to like 21, 27, somewhere in there. But it's taking longer to build buyers' trust. And if you're doing the same thing, if you are consistent like that, which is again, something we talked about last week, I think it was, that makes a big difference. So consistency, working on the things, simplify down, look at your KPIs, what's actually making a difference for you. Again, we get into that in the workshop. So if you're like, I don't even know where to start, just make sure you register. Then your ecosystem. Is your marketing ecosystem saying the same thing? It's the same messaging. It's the same presence. You're not like a totally different person. We don't need to create that dissonance there. Cognitive dissonance. We don't need to create that. It needs to feel consistent. Okay. Have you been trying to hit your income goal for over 6 months and it's just not happening, at least consistently? Maybe you're tired of being scared of the IRS and frustrated, overwhelmed come tax season, but want to finally hit those income goals, but without sacrificing your relationships and your family. Even if your to-do list is just overflowing as it is, this free workshop is just for you. Inside Cashflow Unlocked, I'll give you 5 essential keys to increasing your cash flow so that you can make more money, understand your numbers, and gain financial control and confidence, even if you don't have time for one more thing. This isn't just one of those classes where you get part of the information and zero help. I'm calling it a workshop for a reason. Yes, we'll go over those 5 essential keys, but then we'll walk through the first steps you need to take together so you aren't left in information overwhelm. To see all the details, simply visit aimeecerka.com/workshop or text workshop to 817-969-4653. And of course, if you missed that link, it'll be hanging out in the show notes for you. And then our third one is simplifying your obligations. This is prioritizing the tasks that you need to do. So when you sit down to your computer every morning, do you know what you need to work on? That's something that we talk about in the time management and productivity side of things, which we're also going to briefly talk about on the workshop. You have to have that intention set up because you are busy. You have so many hats that you're juggling. If you just sit down at your computer and you don't know what you need to work on, you're going to end up putting out fires. And that's like the urgent, but not necessarily important. And we have to prioritize the important so that you're actually moving forward and hitting those cash flow goals. Because if you're not doing the important stuff, you're never going to increase that profit because you're going to be too busy chasing the next trend or putting out a fire. Okay. So prioritizing the tasks that you need to do. This can be making sure that you have, when we structure our DMO, I structure it for a percentage base. I'm trying to achieve a percentage of it, okay? But there was a while there that I had trapped. I let myself get stuck because I put like fluff stuff on the DMO. So the fluff stuff was getting accomplished and I got that dopamine hit. I got that check mark, but I wasn't doing important things like emailing my list. So emailing my list came off of my DMO. It's a separate income producing activity, which we're going to talk about that. That's a nurturing activity, all inside the workshop again, but prioritize your task. You have to know what you need to accomplish and work on those things first. There is a time and a place to do some of the more simple things. And I think we should have a variety of things on our plate. At all times, I have, my needle movers that I need to do, my household obligations, the things that I have to accomplish with my kids. Then there's, we can call them fluff, like the easier to do stuff. It doesn't take that creative brain power is on the to-do list. Those are the things that I get done in like the 5-minute cracks of time when something's working. So like when I'm done recording and this video is buffering before I record another one, I'll knock out probably 2 of those simple to do tasks instead of sitting down, and I could have done them first, which meant that this podcast recording might have been jeopardized getting to recorded by not prioritizing it. Do you see how that works? And of course you can outsource, and we're going to talk about outsourcing a little bit. It can be more attainable than you think it can be. Oftentimes we feel like we have to like get to this level before we can outsource, but you have a couple different options. You can, if you have kids, I outsource stuff to my kids, outsource stuff to my spouse. And you might think like, okay, we have that's not really outsourcing. We kind of have our individual task that we accomplish in the household to make the household run, right? But if I'm in the middle of this big event or prepping for this big event, like I am right now, I've made it clear to my spouse, like, okay, I need more help here. This is what I need you to do. This is what needs to happen. And we have to clearly communicate that. So that's an option. You can outsource somebody for your team. There's several different options there. You can do project outsourcing. You can do, long-term contractors. There's several different options there. You can also have an intern. My first VA in the business was an intern. So I coached her. She worked for me. We both helped build our experience as we were starting out. And it was a very beneficial arrangement for a while. I don't remember the exact amount of time that we worked together, but that is an option for you. Also, if none of those things, or even if none of those things work out, if you set yourself up to be ready to outsource, that's going to make a big difference as well. Because when you are ready to outsource, if you have to stop and drop everything to figure out how to outsource, that's not really going to work. We need to build in the processes, and we talk a little bit about this inside the academy, about how to build those things in so that when it's time for that to happen, it's a seamless transition. That seamless transition, that's another thing we talked about with the prosperity simplified system. But that's it. That's what I got for you. 3 things that we need to simplify in order to multiply your profits. We simplified our business offerings, which didn't necessarily mean that we only had one offer. This meant that we had the offer ascension, aligned messaging. Things had to make sense. It cannot feel like we're just throwing spaghetti on a wall. Okay. We simplified our business marketing, looking at KPIs, what is actually working for you, and your marketing ecosystem. Does it make sense in the ecosystem? Then we simplified obligations by prioritizing what we actually had to work on, what can kind of go to the side, doesn't have to happen now, and what can you outsource to your family, to team, whatever it might be, outsourcing that. All right, your challenge for today. Make sure that you register for the Cashflow Unlocked workshop. I will see you there. Make sure to send me a message on Instagram or shoot me a text. Let me know that you're registered and what you are most excited for. That's it for now. We'll see you next time. Thank you so much for listening to the Your Money, Your Life podcast. Wondering what's next? When you're ready, there are different levels of support that you can use on the path to creating unstoppable finances and your unstoppable life. After all, your finances are unique and your support should be too. Ultimately, we'll create a customized plan to ditch financial struggle for good that works for you, your goals, your priorities, your life. Go to workwithaimee.com to get started with one of our most popular programs, or you can book a Q&A call with me and we'll figure out what your next step should be.